Good morning. Today is Monday, September the 25th, 2021, and we're going to discuss the WalkFree Economy. What is it? The WalkFree Economy is a very, very simple concept. We're currently engaged in what could only be described as an informational, psychological, and spiritual war. Freedom is being attacked from all sides, at all levels. People have been conditioned for decades to give in to these efforts or to acquiesce or go along with them for the sake of convenience, for the sake of being able to make a living, and for the sake of just being left alone by the crowd that always attacks, that always moves forward, that always inches in, that's always on the move and always constricts you from all sides, just like a boa constrictor. What can an individual do about this? We've seen sufficiently now that we cannot rely on our leaders to bail us out. Whoever those leaders may be, whether in elected position like those in Congress, at the White House, or at the Supreme Court, or at state levels of the same three branches of government, or whether they're cultural or spiritual leaders. Leaders can only kind of point us in a direction, but we have to make the decision to either follow or not follow. And if we don't follow, or which ones do we follow, that's the big question, then what do we do? Which direction do we take? And what is the best chance for success? Meaning the best chance of coming out ahead in this war, winning it, hands down, and maintaining and even increasing our freedom. There aren't too many options left to us because we're dealing with some very, very powerful enemies. And the enemies are not really the people in government, because they're just shills. They're just being paid to do what they're doing. They're just being told to do what they're doing. They really have very little independent power. They're getting pressure both from above and from below. And of course, we are part of the pressure from below. We're the people. We're the ones who are supposed to make them do what they do. They're supposed to do our will. They're supposed to serve us. But they don't. Why not? They do not serve us because there's somebody else who has a more powerful level of control over them than we do. And that's the big corporations. Big global corporations, whether they are originated from the US or any other country. Corporations have the ability to amass, or what's the proper word for it? They have the ability to gather all the political donations of their own employees and management staff and submit that as a bundle. And of course, because they're global corporations, they control vast amounts of wealth that we as individuals can never touch. Rarely, maybe in the case of somebody like Donald Trump. But how many of those are there? So we have to figure out what is our most powerful weapon. And what is the opponent's weakest spot? What is their weakest link? What is their weakest, most vulnerable area that we can affect with our most powerful weapon? And it's really very simple if you think about it. Those vast, untold amounts of wealth that these corporations control, where does it come from? Who gives them that wealth? And the answer is very simple. We do. You, I, and everybody else. Now, the concept of a boycott is nothing new. It's been effective in the past to some degree, in some areas, in some instances. But boycotts can only be as effective as the amount of people or consumers that are participating in them, and they can only be as effective to the extent that there are alternatives available, because what we're dealing with here is not one corporation or the other. It's not enough to boycott Coca-Cola and to drink poison from Pepsi instead. Pepsi is just as woke as Coca-Cola is. They just haven't been as much in the news. How do we gather and concentrate our forces as we the people and direct them away from the woke corporations that want to control us and want to push us into communism, socialism, fascism, whatever you want to call it, and steer our resources to those companies who support us, who support our point of view, companies that are headed and controlled by people who think like patriots, who support free speech, who want to live under the freedom that our founders provided for us via the Constitution, or tried to provide to us. How do we do this? There are many efforts underway these days to form what is called a parallel economy. And I'm not talking about a black market economy. I'm talking about a very open, very above surface economy that's just not controlled by these woke corporations. And what makes them woke and what that means we'll get into in a second. How do we steer our resources away from them and toward a patriot-led or patriot-built economy by those who support our way of life, who support America, who support freedom, who support individual choice, individual responsibility, liberty, the freedom to live your life the way you want to live it, where you want to live it, under what conditions you want to live it, as much as is in your control to change or to improve. And there's a very simple tool for that, and I've been able and been trying very hard to provide that tool, which is simply a directory, an online business directory for patriot companies that are led by people who are patriots. Very simple. There are, at least in my estimation, and you could prove me wrong if you want to, in comments below if you like, there are at least 100 million people of us, or 100 million of us patriots in the United States. We know this because even the official numbers show that 75 million, or just about there, voted for Donald Trump, and those are people who are not going along with this woke CRT bullshit that's been infecting our country, our lives, our schools, our churches, our businesses, our news media, our everything. Those are just voters. The percentage of voters in the United States is not that high, so you know just by normal, let's call it demographic extrapolation, that there have to be many more who think like us, who didn't vote in the last election. And there's a whole lot of us who think like us who didn't support Donald Trump. That's not a requirement. The important thing is that you're for liberty, for freedom, especially for freedom of speech, freedom of thought, freedom of conscience, everything that's contained in the First Amendment. already exists. The tool is the website. Now comes the problem, how do we populate this website? I've been trying to reach out to all of these individuals that have great numbers of online followers, people who have an audience, patriots who have an audience, and try to get them involved. But to the extent that they're also pushing in the same direction, we have this phenomenon that everybody wants to do their own thing and wants to help themselves only because they think they can make a lot of money with this. And you can, no doubt about it. But if we do not cooperate, if we do not work together, combine our forces and focus our energies like a laser beam on what we're trying to accomplish, we're not going to go anywhere. Just imagine the people from Massachusetts telling the people from, say, New York State in the 1770s, oh no, you're on your own, we're going to fight the British ourselves, we don't want your help. We think we can defeat them all by ourselves. Just imagine that scenario. We wouldn't even be talking today. We wouldn't even be here today. So the idea is clear. We need to work together, and we need to work effectively. And the tool that can bind all of us together is that simple, very simple directory. Because if we cannot find each other as patriots, if you want to go shopping not at Kroger's, which is woke as hell, but at some other grocery store that is led by somebody who at least supports free speech, and whose support for free speech can be shown in their internal policies. If you want to know who that is and where they are and how you can find them and how you can buy from them, you come to the WalkFree Economy. The website name or the website URL is WalkFreeEconomy.com. That's all one word, no hyphens, no periods, no nothing. WalkFreeEconomy.com. You can sign up and create your own account for free. You can sign up and get a regular listing as a business owner for free. You don't need to have a great company. If it's just you and yourself with a one-person service business, whatever that may be, list yourself. There are no barriers to entry. We need to reach critical mass, and we need to reach it focusing, coagulating on this central place where everybody can find us. If we do this, we can take all the power away from the woke corporations. Because it's these corporations who rule us through our government officials. They control us by controlling donations, campaign donations, to those government officials. They control us by supplying the management talent, so to speak, the administrative talent, to what's known as the deep state. These people don't grow up in a vacuum somewhere and all of a sudden decide, oh yeah, I want to be part of the deep state and I'm going to go into government and do this job here. They're being groomed for that by company policies. They're getting their resume by working for these large corporations, showing their mettle, which they undoubtedly have, their ability to manage large groups of people and to organize them in certain ways that benefit the company and not the individuals. These companies need to be literally, but financially destroyed. We don't want a kinetic war. We don't want a shooting war. We don't even want a street brawling war, because that's not effective. Those are not the battlefields that we control as patriots. What we control is what's in our back pocket, and that's our wallet. And there's nobody else in the whole world who controls our wallet the way we do. We have literally exclusive control over what we do with that thing and where we put the money that we pull out of it, whether it's by credit card or cash. We don't even need an alternative currency system to achieve our goals. We can work within the system, as messed up as it may be, that currently exists, and simply withhold our money from these corporations. Imagine if 100 million people suddenly or over time do this. Now there's some 300 plus million people in the United States. Officially, those are the official population numbers. Legal and illegals. Roughly, that's a third of the entire customer level of any one of these big companies. Just imagine you're operating a woke company, you're the CEO, you're responsible for creating profits still, even in this woke idiot environment where social policy or social justice supposedly plays a higher role than the making of profits. And suddenly you lose 1/3 of your customers to your competition, which is the patriot companies. Under those conditions, it doesn't matter how much advertising you do, it doesn't matter how much you try, how much money you spend, it doesn't matter how many officials you bribe or influence or control, you can never get these companies back, these customers back. They're just gone. Because once they realize what you're doing and what alternatives they have available, and once they know the power that they have in their wallet, they will not come back to them. We will never come back to them. So the smallest thing that you can imagine, a wallet, and the person who makes the decision how to use it, is the most powerful thing when it comes to these corporations, because they operate with our money. Again, they don't control us out of a vacuum. They don't get their power from somewhere. We give it to them. Whether by hook or by crook, they convinced us that we need to buy what they're selling, whatever that may be, if it's a service or a product. But if we don't, what can they do? There have been attempts, like Obamacare, for example, where the Supreme Court declared that the mandate portion of it is a tax. All bullshit. That was maybe an attempt to force you to spend your money on a product that maybe you don't want, that's outside your decision making. But in the vast majority of cases, there is nobody and nothing who can tell you which company to buy from in favor of another company. I mean, as compared to another company. You take that power and you translate that and multiply it by 100 million. We win. There's no question about it. The only question is, how do we get together? And that again is the WalkFree Economy website. Create a free account. Go there right now. Create a free account. Even if there's nothing there yet in your area to buy, because you have created a free account there, the more free accounts are on there, the more companies that have a product or service to advertise are encouraged to list their business there, because only then does it make sense for them. They want to reach you. If they know you're there and that they can reach you there, they will do it. And once they do, and once this reaches critical mass, and once this message, this idea gets through to the other opinion makers in the patriot community, and once they start sending out the same message, and once patriots who go online to look for information get reinforced and reconfirmed everywhere they look that yes, here's the WalkFree Economy, it's a free tool, it's available to you, and it will defeat woke corporations, then we win. We have our country back. Then going to Washington DC will not yield the same benefits anymore that it does now to these scumbag politicians. Then the encouragement or the inclination to even run for office will only exist for statesmen who will have our best interest at heart. because companies that don't make any money can't exist here, and then they cannot control the campaign coffers of our politicians. Our schools will not be influenced to the degree that they are now. Our entertainment industry will not send us these idiot subliminal messages. Our advertising companies will not send us this garbage that we watch on daily TV. Our news shows will not be as corrupted and co-opted as they are now. We will be free of their influence. If you like this message, if this makes sense to you, if you think that this is maybe a chance, if this is something that you think you can do in order to help your country and yourself regain its freedom, please pass it along. If there's a subscription button at the bottom of this video, click it, subscribe on it. If there's a like button, I don't know what video platform this is going to appear on. If there's a like button, like it. If there's a comment section, leave a comment. State what you think, never hold back. Always claim your freedom of speech. Always claim your freedom of thought. Never let them intimidate you. If we all get into this mindset and we do these 3 simple things: create a free account, list your business, and tell others to create a free account and list their business. If this becomes common practice among patriots in America, we will kick the living tar out of these controllers at whatever level they may operate. Thank you very much for listening. I will try to make videos like this once a week or so, maybe more frequently, but at least once a week. And they will generally come out on Mondays. God bless.